Well, good morning, everybody. I've just been sitting here making out my Christmas cards, trying to get them ready for the mail. Y'all started doing your Christmas cards yet? It's been rainy, so I haven't been able to do a whole lot in the yard, in the garden, so I decided I'd start making out Christmas cards and my presents. And yeah, if you notice my hair is curly, so in rainy weather, it frizzes up. And I tell people it actually multiplies because it starts going out that way. So it looks like I've got twice as much hair as I have. I'm going to have to get some of these addresses, I guess, off of YouTube. They got some awfully pretty cards out this year. Yeah, I decided if the rain stopped a little, I'd go out and... Yep, and I'm licking my envelopes. I know on one of Stephen's videos, live videos, he had... I think her name was Elizabeth Clemens or something like that. She was on there because she works in a place where they produce, I guess, envelopes and stuff. And she was telling them, whatever you do, don't lick your envelopes because of what goes in the glue. She said, you don't even want to know what goes in the glue. But I'm a creature of habit. I still lick my envelopes, so... Yeah, a lot of us were creatures of habit, so I figure if it hasn't killed me yet, it's not going to. But I don't think I want to know what's in the glue. I think I'm kind of already know, but... I mean, it's really neat, you know, getting ready for the holidays. I mean, I've got my tree up. I'm really been getting in the Christmas spirit. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna have the money to send out all these cards I've been addressing, but we'll see. Got a bunch of cards, but I'm not sure I've got addresses for everybody. Didn't send out too many cards last year, but I'm not buying many presents this year. So I decided I'd go ahead and send out a card. It's almost like getting a Christmas present sometimes, is just getting a Christmas card. But let's see if I can flip this camera around. Yeah, I've been getting stuff boxed up for my granddaughter right there because I'm not sure I'm going to be able to see her for Christmas. We don't always get together because of the fact that my son and my daughter-in-law is divorced. So they live in separate towns. My granddaughter works right along with everybody else, so we don't always get together. I thought I'd take you out since it was not raining right at the moment, and let you see outside. Let's do a quick garden tour. Everything is soaked. But as you can see, everything is wet out here this morning. Got my pots there that I've planted those seeds in the other day. And look at there, that spinach is loving this rain. Look how it's standing up so pretty and straight. That one in there gave way, but it looks like I got some seeds coming up. That one's doing real good. That one down there in the bottom's doing good, and look at the seeds coming up. You can see the seeds beside it. So I'll have plants to pull out in some spots and repot them somewhere else. So it's supposed to get down to like 31, 32 several nights this week, so I'm not sure how many of these plants will survive. But as you can see, I've still got peppers, I've still got tomato plants that are alive, but they're not doing much, and I don't expect anything out of tomato plants this time of year. There's that little pepper plant. Yeah, I'm not expecting any of this. I'm not expecting anything really out of these pepper plants and tomato plants that are still trying to survive. And look at that. Isn't that so pretty? I got bees on it. Look at those bees. They are going to be our friends because they will pollinate plants that I, put out. Well, the plants that come up from the seed. Look at that. Isn't that neat? Bees love these clematis. Yeah, I welcome the bees because without them, a lot of your plants wouldn't get pollinated and they wouldn't produce anything. So I think that's awesome to be able to get that close to watch them. They don't kind of like me being here, but I think they like the pollen better than they, want to leave. Well, we'll leave them and let them go ahead and do their thing. But you can see the plants down there. Those peppers are just, They don't care that it's getting cooler. They kind of like it. Even though a lot of other stuff don't. I got to trim up all this stuff because it's starting to hit my head when I walk under the arch. And I really need to put the other sections underneath the bottom because they'll go up about another foot. But I was afraid I'd get them too tall and I wouldn't be able to reach to harvest tomatoes and stuff that would grow over the top. But they didn't go up that far this summer because it was so hot. But I do need to get those other sections on the bottom that go in the ground so it'll raise it up just a tiny bit more. And I'll do that, I guess, when all these plants die off. And I can cut back the tomato plants that are dying like this. I mean, the stem is still green, but everything else is giving way to the cool temperatures. And like I said, the peppermint loves it. Look at there. Those bell peppers. That's awesome. There's one right over there. And my poor moringa tree, all the leaves have died off of it. The tree itself is still green, but I don't know that it'll survive through the freezing cold temperatures that we're getting ready to have. But hopefully it'll come back next year. I'll just leave it in the pot and see what happens. See, the peppers are trying to put out more hot peppers. They don't care about the cold weather. Or the cooler temperatures, they don't mind. And look at that at my jolly green tree collard. That one's looking real good. And like I said, this one, bugs got to it at first, but I finally got them off of it. And keeping this cover on it, it's coming back to life. It's putting out new growth and new leaves. So that one will be all right too. And it loves the cooler temperature. It loves the rain it's getting. Right along with all that stuff I planted in the dish pans. You know, the radishes, the spinach, the leafy greens. But all of those in those tubs are, you know, they're dying back. So I'll be able to use these tubs and buckets to replant and transplant some of those seeds that are coming up when they get up big enough. So I'll just end up coming out here and cutting back what's dead. And I'll go ahead and transplant some of my seeds that are coming up over here in some of these tubs. And like I said, my little mum is doing good. And you see the two buds on the top? Fixing to bloom. So they're rooting good. All this has died back. So I got gladiolas planted in there. I had everything growing in this pot. Tomatoes, Brussels sprouts, gladiolas, sunflowers, you name it. And goes my little peppers. Got some walking onions. And see, that tomato plant's still surviving, but I don't think it's going to survive the end of the week. Those Brussels sprouts, pepper plant. Got a nice Brussels sprout, or one of the brassicas right there growing. Got a lettuce right there. And you can barely see the peas popping up out of the ground. Right there. And over here. And right there. And there's my kohlrabi coming up. My rutabaga. My red cabbage. The leeks. I think most of the seed have come up to the top of the ground. I probably need to reseed those, but see those little white sprouts? We'll wait another day or so and see what happens. And there is my romaine lettuce. Winter squash is not coming up yet that I can see. So we'll give it a few more days. See what happens before I try to replant any. My Jolly Green, or not my Jolly Green, and my green stalk planter is doing well with all my Brussels sprouts. And my garlic. You know, all that's looking good. And I think I showed you the greenhouse the other day. Everything in there is looking good. I don't know if I can get the thing unzipped with the camera in my hand. Use my feet. But I've got a few tomato plants in here. And I've just put them in here just out of curiosity to see if they would survive in the greenhouse. My aloe vera. My knockout roses right there. Look at there. They're leafing out, making a little bush right in there. And that one is too. Look at that little rose bush. That's the yellow rose. You know, I think I fixed 4 of those. And that's the knockout rose down there. I don't need to pull the tops off all of them. And my mother of millions, I put it in the greenhouse. That tomato bush there is not doing too good. I think that was one I stuck down there to try to root it. And I think my aloe vera is getting too hot in here. Or maybe I got too much water on it. I'll quit watering it for a little bit and see what happens. See what the rose bushes look like. Look at there. Look at those rose bushes. Every one of them looks like they're putting out new growth, new leaves, so that's looking good. Check this one. Look at there. They're all looking great. They're all putting out new growth. Even that one down there that doesn't look like it, it's got sprouts coming out on it everywhere. My problem now is in the springtime is to figure out where I'm going to plant all those. Yeah, I think I may have got too much water to these 2 little aloe veras, so I'm not going to water them for a while. Just let them stay there. Because sometimes if your plants get too hot and too much water, it just basically cooks them. And look at that. A potato plant coming up out of the compost in that tote. Be nice if it'll produce a lot of potatoes. my mint. Got a big rose bush there. I've got to rearrange some of these tubs. I've got them too close together. And I can see tomatillos hanging over there that need to be picked. I've been harvesting my onions. Brassica there looking good. If I can keep the bugs off of it. I think the bugs like it as well as I do, so. And look at there, it looks like a sunflower volunteering to come up right there. I'll have to transplant that. And there is my spinach. And some of this is just about big enough to transplant, looks like. Look at there, that's all perpetual spinach. So if all these plants survive, transplanting them and all that, when they're big enough to transplant, I should have quite a bit of perpetual spinach and greens. There's all that seed come up. I'll transplant some of it in these buckets over here since this other stuff is dying out. And there's some of it coming up there. My poor okra gave up. I need to dig that out or pull it out. I'm not sure I can. That thing is so big. But you can see the okra here is give up. So I need to get that out of there, and I'll be able to transplant my brassicas in that when I get ready to transplant a bunch of them. I could probably even transplant a bunch of it in these little pots that these moonflowers have been growing in. And I got this pot here I can get the okra out of and plant my brassicas. Look there, I got sunflowers coming up right there from seeds that fell out of the bird feeder. And I'm going to leave them. I'm going to let them grow. There's that little plant looking good. It's putting out roses. They are going to be beautiful come spring, I believe. Because the cold doesn't usually bother them. I don't know why this one does not look good. It might be just the spot that it's in, because the one I had there previously died, and that one looks like it's trying to. But all the rest of them are looking good. It's putting out roses. Look at there, that pink bud. And that one's putting out roses. There's another bud come on there, and it already opened that one. That one's looking good. So I may have to transplant that other one again. That one's got roses coming out on it. Look at there. This one's putting out more roses too since we got a bunch of rain. And I do believe that is a avocado tree coming up from the compost that I put around that crepe myrtle. I don't know that it'll survive, but I'm going to leave it there and find out. Oh, I wanted to show you too. I forgot. Perpetual spinach growing right here in the pots that my moonflowers are in this wishing well. I'm going to put some in these two front ones as well. Utilize that space. That rose bush there is still looking good. It's a little tiny one, but it's looking good. And there's something been pushing over my logs around my pot here, causing my pot to cave in. But those moonflowers, they're going to be alive, and they've got roots that go down really, really deep. So I'm pretty sure all of them will spring back to life in the springtime, right along with my mums. And I still haven't planted anything in those two pots over there. I'm waiting to transplant some of those brassicas that are coming up from the seed. But see, I got perpetual spinach here. I've got kale. I've got the other greens. I can't remember the name of that, but it's a green just like the others. Yeah, I can use these two pots to plant some of those brassicas in when I transplant them. There's my pot of peppermint. My bigger rose bushes. Crepe myrtle that's dormant right now. My little rose bush there. And this other plant keeps coming up every year. I pull it out, but it keeps coming back. Because unless you keep it watered really good, it doesn't look good at all. But I don't want it to take over my rose bush, which it's trying to do. Of course, my rose bush is in a pot, but it's in a pot with some great big holes in the bottom. So if the roots of the rose bush wants to go down out of the pot, it can. But I found that was the only way I could keep my rose bushes alive here in the dry weather, was to put them in a big pot. That way when I water them, I know all the water goes to the roots of the rose bush. There's the mums we planted. And the little crepe myrtle out there. It's dormant. They're not dead. They're just dormant right now. And there's my other mums. My other little rose bush. Probably this summer, when it starts really getting a good growth spurt, I'll be able to move that pot and just let the rose bush grow. All my mums is looking good out here, but they get so straggly they fall over. But they still look good. I mean, it can snow and they'll perk right up in the snow and bloom. It's the only plant I know that will do that, is a mum. And the mum in the little pig is looking good. And we got the mums out here that we are rooting. They like the water, so they'll love this pot because it stays a lot moist than the other ones. And all of this stuff is looking good. Those are plants there that come back every year, and they have pretty flowers on them when they bloom. For some reason, that mint there is just not looking that good. I gotta make this quick because it's thundering and it's starting to rain. I mean, it's getting really dark and it's not quite even 3 o'clock today. So, I guess you can hear that in the background. It still seems very unusual to me to hear thunder in December. To me, that's something that you normally would hear in the summertime, not in December. I mean, you usually have cold weather, possibly snow sometimes, rain, hail even. But I don't expect to hear thunder that I'm hearing. Yeah, but I got to get inside because it's coming down pretty hard out there right now. You can't see it, but I can hear it. You may be able to hear it through the video as well. Hear that? That is thunder, my people. Thunder. And it's cooled off a little bit out here. I don't know how cold it's supposed to get tonight. I'm going to have to check the weather forecast to know if I need to take in my aloe vera and that coleus and that insulin plant right there. So we'll see. Oh goodness. Listen. Thunder just doesn't go with poinsettias and Christmas. I mean, just doesn't sound right to me. But anyway, please hit the thumbs up. Like, share, subscribe to my videos, and y'all have a blessed day, and I will see you on the next one.